Do this, y'all. What's up, y'all? Today we are here on the Lackluster channel. Check them out. Subscribe to the channel. Great police body cam videos. This one says cop caught lying in court, huge lawsuit. We're going to take a look at this video, and throughout it all, if you're watching this back on the YouTube, come by and do this with me live on the live streams. Make sure you're sub to the channel. Let's go ahead and pop it up and see what this is all about.
Stop walking. There's no tape. Stop walking, you're gonna get arrested. You've been notified once.
Really? I just been threatened by the sergeant. I'm gonna be arrested on a public street. I dare y'all to lock me up. I'm addressing all of y'all.
Put your hands behind your back.
For what? What did I do?
Fortunately for Mr. McCullough, both the Rhode Island and United States constitutions protect his freedom to express himself precisely how he did last October.
Welcome back to the Lackluster.
They messed
channel.
up, Aaron.
In October of 2020, John McCullough from the channel The Resistance had heard of a protest because of alleged police brutality. He made his way down to the scene, but upon his arrival, the protest was over, and as he began filming, several officers told him to leave or he would be arrested.
Got a busted window here. They got a busted window here. Stay to the side? For what? For what reason? I could walk this whole street. I could walk this. All right, so what's the problem? All right, well, don't tell me to do nothing. Yeah, I busted window over here.
You're gonna clear out of here. All right, we just dispersed everybody. You need to leave too. All right, we're not doing this. Stop walking.
There's no tape.
Stop walking. You're gonna get arrested. You've been notified once.
Really?
All right,
Okay.
take off.
Okay.
I'm done with you. Get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
You come back, you're getting arrested.
On the public street? On the public street?
You've been notified.
On the public street, I'm gonna get arrested?
It's a crime scene. Have a nice night.
I don't see no tape, but.
We're about to put it up. So
John followed the officer's commands and backed up to an appropriate area, and continued to shout his protests at the officers.
I just been threatened by the sergeant. I'm gonna be arrested on a public street. How does that go? I'm here for no ill intent. You got flat tires, busted windows, ladies and gentlemen. Flat tire over here. They butthurt. They told me to get up out the situation or he's gonna arrest me, and he was only telling me one time.
After standing in the same place for about 14 minutes and being completely ignored by the officers, Officer Flavio Tavares had his feelings hurt to the point that he exceeded the constitutional limitations.
Shout out to Lackluster for, he just puts these nuanced little, the officer was butthurt. Nice little jab at this guy. Yeah, it's hilarious.
To his authority and effected a false arrest, taking John into custody for disorderly conduct.
Y'all going?
By the way, y'all, sadly, it be your own people that do this, right? Because all the other officers they walk by, but they be your own people out here that try and get you hemmed up. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about.
Arrest, taking John into custody for disorderly conduct.
Y'all going ahead about it. It's all documented. Y'all want to lock me up? It's documented. Federal lawsuit coming y'all way. I dare y'all. I dare y'all to lock me up. I'm addressing all of y'all.
put your hands behind your back.
For what? What did I do? Get off. What did I do?
Get your hands behind your back.
What did I do?
Get your hands behind your back.
Unnecessary. That's all unnecessary, bro.
Get them out of here. Put your hands behind your back.
What's your name? You didn't do a damn thing. The Resistance on YouTube. I didn't do anything. Y'all seen it.
What is your name?
John McCullough.
John McCullough.
Yes, John McCullough. I'm from Boston.
John McCullough.
Right here.
Check his back. Let him out. Okay, you're creating a scene. You're creating a scene and getting in a crowd. You're being arrested.
Yo, I'm convinced that you have situations where cops just don't even care. They just want to lock people up to get them out of their hair for the moment. Even if what they were doing is wrong, they just kick the can to the prosecutors, and then the prosecutors look at it and like, what do you get? Like, why did you even do this? Now we got to clean up your mess. And I know that it can cause friction between police departments and the DA's office, and they're like, what are you doing? Like, how can y'all do this? Now we got to go here head in hand to go settle this lawsuit. It's going to cost taxpayer dollars. Instead of them just doing what's right from the jump, yeah, this guy could be annoying the shit out of you. I mean, I get it. I give credit to the people that do these kinds of that kind of content on YouTube, where they kind of, they're exercising their rights 100%. Nothing wrong with that. But let's keep it a buck. They're also kind of, you know, like poking at the cops a little bit, poking at the bear a little bit to get them to react like this. And, you know, sometimes they'll come up off it. They'll get a payday, a settlement out of it. I don't have the, you know, I don't have it in me to do that. That's a different kind of personality to be able to do that, put yourself in those situations. That being said, though, like even as a cop, you can be getting annoyed by these kinds of people that are doing these holding cops accountable, but you just can't go out of your way and fold like this. It's just so bad. So bad. That wasn't even.
He said the magic words. Let's go.
The magic word, I dare you. So that's what got him to do this. Again, ego. Instead of them just keeping it moving, ignoring the guy, they all get off in their feelings like, oh, he's testing us, so we're just going to do it. When there was no basis.
Let's go. You got it. Lights and sirens. Let's go.
Disorderly? I was not disorderly. What kind of disturbance did I create? Who's the complainant, sir? Oh, this will be addressed in court. It's not an inconvenience.
John was held for nearly 14 hours before he was released on his own recognizance, and it took nearly a year for the court to hear his case. During the trial, Officer Flavio testified that John was yelling things like, "Aim at their heads," and "Uncle Tom officers."
What really caught my attention is, as I was speaking to a supervisor at the time and some of my colleagues on essentially what just took place, was that words of, aim at their heads, swear words towards us. That's what caught my attention, to look in that area. And that's when I noticed that he was clearly the loudest one, or the one that demonstrated he was not happy with us.
Okay, so one of those things that you observed him shouting was "aim at their heads."
So as I stood there, I heard the words and then I looked, ma'am.
How many times do you recall him yelling "aim at their heads"?
I wouldn't recall more than once, ma'am. I think I just heard it once.
When you heard that, what did you take that statement to be?
I'm pretty sure as I was speaking to my colleagues, I think I mentioned something to the effect of, not again, or here we go again, or something like that. I mean, we couldn't go through that again. We literally just did this. We dispersed everyone. I personally, I know I was tired. I just went through, dispersing crowds with everyone else. It's just one man staying on a sidewalk. If he wants to continue to rant, that's fine. But it became a concern when other people started, gathering again. So that's really what prompted me to just put that to an end.
However, John's lawyer destroyed the notion that he used that type of language during the officer's cross-examination.
He was saying some pretty rude things, right?
That's right, sir.
Pretty offensive things.
Sure.
And annoying things, too.
Sure, but that's normal in the life of a police officer, I suppose.
It's fair to say you didn't appreciate hearing these things, though, right? You don't enjoy hearing words like that?
It's just words, sir.
Just words. But how many times do we see officers get triggered when somebody calls them out on something, which is free speech, and then they react to it because they got butt hurt?
But you don't enjoy hearing them. And you actually, before that arrest, you actually didn't talk to him at all that night, right?
That is correct, sir.
Not a single word.
No, sir. From the moment that I actually put him in cuffs, took him to the vehicle, and that was it. That was the end of it.
That was it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you're certainly not the officer who said the magic words, right? That didn't come out of your mouth.
I'm not sure, sir. If I could hear the voice again, I don't recall myself saying that, but if I could hear it.
You can hear the voice again.
Sure.
He said the magic words.
Sounds like me, sir. Sounds like I'm the one that said it.
It does sound like you.
Take accountability, yeah.
You, in response to Mr. McCullough's arrest, the moments right after Mr. McCullough's arrest, he said the magic words.
Yes, sir.
Oh.
He said the magic words.
John's attorney then played the full video and made note that the phrases "aim at their heads" and "Uncle Tom officer" were mysteriously absent from the recording.
Huh? How you feel about that? Talk to the camera. You talked to the camera just a few moments ago when you threatened to lock me up. You're a real piece of shit.
You'd agree with me that that video that we just saw is a fair and accurate depiction of your encounter with Mr. McCullough on the corner of Bissell and Elm on the evening of October 21st, 2020.
Looking at the video, yes, but that is not the memory that I had in terms of what he said.
See, this is where shit makes no sense. He agrees that what's on the video is legit, and then he turns around on the other hand and says, but in my memory, that's not the way it happened. Who is more accurate here? Video is. Memories fade. This is a year later. You might have heard some stuff in the moment. This is why this is such bullshit. You're trying to now say that you didn't hear that, or it was different in your head, which is crazy. You're literally contradicting what you just said moments ago, agreeing that the footage is accurate and yeah, true, and yeah.
You would agree with me that that video is a fair and accurate depiction of your encounter?
Yes, sir.
His attorney then presented a strong closing argument.
People of the state gathered to express their grief and anger over the officer-involved moped crash. A number of those people formed crowds and became violent, but not all of them. Most were peaceful, most were nonviolent. Most did not pose a threat. And most of these people had left by the time officers became aware of Mr. McCullough's presence. Mr. McCullough is not here today for throwing bottles, for throwing bricks, fireworks, flares, or rocks. Mr. McCullough is before the court today accused of disorderly conduct for simply speaking. Fortunately for Mr. McCullough, both the Rhode Island and United States constitutions protect his freedom to express himself precisely how he did last October.
Facts.
So let's talk about that expression, about those words, and about how we know they're protected speech. Starting with Mr. McCullough's words. As he was documenting the damage to Providence police cars on Elmwood Avenue, an officer gave him two options: leave or be arrested. Ultimately, he followed the officer's order, regardless of its lawfulness. He left where he was filming. Officers ignored him for over 14 minutes, and he continued to express his shock and dismay resulting from the officer's actions. Y'all gonna arrest people on a public street. I'm not breaking any laws. I was threatened by the sergeant. I'm going to be arrested on a public street. Several other people joined Mr. McCullough on that corner. He continued to express his disappointment in the police behavior. Throughout this, Mr. McCullough continues to film. Police come and go. They mill about, unperturbed by Mr. McCullough's comments. Minutes pass. Mr. McCullough continues. You guys hate transparency so much that you'll illegally threaten to lock them up. He uses profane language. You're a piece of shit. Cold-blooded pieces of shit. Your Honor, apparently within these comments were the magic words, as we heard from the video from Officer Tavera.
Got him.
Because within moments, Providence police made good on their threat
Rushed
to
him.
lock Mr. McCullough
Yep.
up, despite Mr. McCullough moving to the corner when he was told to leave the spot next to the damaged police cars. He was arrested, Your Honor, for those magic words. Magic because they evoke the ire of Providence police? Certainly yes. Magic because say them and poof, you're arrested? Yes again. Magic because they're accepted from constitutional protection? No. 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 The Constitution, Your Honor, knows no such magic words. And for that reason, the disorderly conduct statute under which Mr. McCullough is charged cannot be used to suppress his speech. Our courts have traveled down this road before, and fortunately for Mr. McCullough, it is a well-worn path. Today, I highlight 3 mile markers erected by the Rhode Island Supreme Court, 3 cases that defend Mr. McCullough's unqualified right to express himself precisely how he did. Now, the city has stated that Mr. McCullough is charged under subsection 3 of Rhode Island's disorderly conduct statute. I'll nonetheless very briefly highlight for the court what the Rhode Island Supreme Court held in State v. Cabarrasi. The court held that subsection A2 of the disorderly conduct statute then in effect at the time, A2 prohibiting loud and unreasonable noise, does not apply to speech. The volume of Mr. McCullough's speech cannot be used against him in this case. The court in that case asserted that the state may restrict, quote, only those words tending to provoke violence.
Exactly right. You could talk all you want. You could talk, you criticize. You could talk as loud as you want. You can scream, but unless you are advocating for a violent act, like, you know, everyone go, you know, stone the cop. Like, that's different. Now you're inciting a riot, disorderly conduct. They can hem you up on that. But for anything else, just what he said there, as loud as he wanted to, he could have kept doing that. And the other thing too is I hate when the cops will move the goalpost, right? Initially, they wanted him off the street, that first interaction with the officer, the female. Then the second one with the sergeant, I think it was, that told him to go back over there. He goes back over there. They leave him alone. He's standing there. He's not moving from that position. It looks like from that field of view, all the other officers and moving, you know, forward down the street or whatever else. They got a little powwow in the center of the street. He's just continuing to do what he wanted to do, exercising his right from that spot where the other officer told him to stand. And then they turn around and they want to bag him for disorderly conduct. You know, it's like, yo, like, y'all moving the goalposts. You told him to come over here. You don't even know the laws enough to know that what he's doing is not wrong. You just use it as an excuse to just bag him because you were annoyed and butthurt over what he was saying to y'all. You know what I'm saying? I hope he gets the bag. Let's see what happens with the rest of this.
Quote, language belonging to the fighting words class. A person's language cannot be punished as fighting words simply for being profane because, who's quoting again, it is often true that one man's vulgarity is another's lyric. End quote. Additionally, unlike McKenna, his remarks did not concern the officers individually. The officers did not visibly react at all until moving in to arrest him. But a state may not punish the use of words that merely elicit indignation, disgust, or anger from the addressee. Mr. McCullough interrupted and irritated the officers as they were attempting to do their job. He was not the reason for their initial decision to come to the scene. He showed up after they were already there and was arrested merely for being an annoyance. That isn't disorderly, Your Honor. That's a protest. He made his voice heard. He made his presence known. He was nonviolent. The violence had ended almost an hour earlier. He moved when asked. Police should have expected and did expect comments like those made from Mr. McCullough that night. Comments like his and comments far worse. And Your Honor, we heard some of those far worse comments from Officer Taveras. We heard Officer Taveras testify that he first observed Mr. McCullough on the corner of Bissell and Elm, and that from that corner, Mr. McCullough yelled, "Aim at their heads, fuck the police, Uncle Tom officers," and field N-words. Whether those particular words were sufficient to evoke a violent reaction from either the officers or fellow protesters, thankfully, is not a question before the court. Because everyone present here today knows that Mr. McCullough did not utter those words. Officer Taveras' testimony attributing them to Mr. McCullough is simply erroneous. Now, he may be honestly mistaken. This happened almost a year ago. It was a chaotic night. He told us on direct that he was tired. And he quite obviously remembers none of what was said, despite independently reviewing Mr. McCullough's video on the internet.
Man, the lawyer kind of giving the cop a little bit of an out right there. I'd stick it to him, be like, nah, man, you're completely contradicting what we saw in the video. Like, fuck that.
But regardless of the reason for Officer Taveras' testimony, we have video evidence in this case. The video does not lie. Those were not Mr. McCullough's words. And paradoxically, Your Honor, Officer Taveras himself wasn't particularly perturbed by Officer Taveras' words that we heard for the very first time on direct. According to him, such words are, quote, normal life of a police officer, I suppose, and quote, just words, sir. And as we also heard from the video, Mr. McCullough missed the protest. He wasn't a part of the large group of protesters that was ordered to disperse. He regretted not being there. He regretted not capturing the action for posterity. He was there filming that night when he arrived on the corner of Bissell and Elm. There were a small handful less than a dozen people remaining observing the police as they went about their business. His arrest was the result of that conduct, Your Honor. The conduct that we observed at the corner of Elm and Bissell, conduct squarely within the protection of the First Amendment. Yet for that conduct, Mr. McCullough has suffered dearly. He was arrested that night. He's been on bail for almost a year. He's had to make numerous trips to this courthouse from his home in Boston. The city has had access to exonerating video for well over a month, and yet we're still here. Let us today begin to right the wrong that Mr. McCullough has suffered by honoring the principles on which this country was founded. Principles that are Mr. McCullough's birthright. His right to assemble, his right to peacefully protest state action. Your Honor, for these reasons, for Mr. McCullough's conduct, for the city's inability to prove any crime here by any standard.
Lawyer going in.
Let alone, beyond a reasonable doubt, the highest standard known to law. And Your Honor, for the deep chill that a conviction would send to others similarly and sincerely aggrieved and in desire of a public forum to peacefully express their grievances. We pray that this court will find Mr. McCullough not guilty.
Thank you, Mr. Francisco.
And finally, the judge found John not guilty, but not without justifying the officer's actions.
City of Providence versus John McCullough, case number 61208966. There's one count charged in this complaint, is that of disorderly conduct allegedly happening on October 21st of 2020. Cut right to the chase on this. I don't believe it does constitute disorderly conduct under our case law. I am hard pressed to make a finding that Mr. McCullough's words, more than his actions certainly, but it was mostly the words, crossed the line and constituted disorderly conduct under our case law and statute. That being said, Mr. McCullough, you got what you wanted. You were arrested. You were poking away at them. Poke, poke, poke. You just continued to do, it was a provocation. As the court had said in one of these other cases, the reaction was justifiable, but it was not considered to be illegal. It wasn't disorderly conduct on a legal basis, but it was provocation. And there was a response to it, right or wrong, but it was something you essentially had opened an invitation to.
So she's trying. Okay, like yeah, we know that he's annoying them and stuff by saying what he's saying, whatever. But she's low key trying to give the police a pass too with what she's making, what she's saying here with her opinion or whatever, which is kind of shitty. You know what I'm saying? Like they got to be held to a higher standard. They get butthurt over words. If it's not against the law, then they shouldn't act on it. Simply put, this is not a you were poking at the bear. Yeah, okay, but like doesn't mean the bear gets to come out and just bite you either. Like that's probably not the best example. You get what I'm trying to say here because we're talking about like the legal aspect of it all, right? Obviously, in real life, you poke a bear, you're gonna get bit, but like, you can't do that. And as a police department, the officers are out of line.
So they did it. They arrested you. So, but you're not guilty of disorderly conduct.
That was such a backhanded verdict, and like she didn't need to say that.
John is now suing the officers, the city and the state, as well as the police department, citing 15 counts. But the most interesting of all is the request for damages against each individual defendant. As often, when an officer loses qualified immunity, the city will still pay a judgment through the taxpayer or tax-funded insurance policy. This is known as indemnification and is perhaps a worse plague than qualified immunity. And so, as this lawsuit continues, I'll be sure to let you know, but let me know what you think in the comments down below.
We pretty much said what I had to say about this one. It's pretty straightforward. They just got butt hurt. They reacted to it. They locked them up, and all of that for nothing. They ended up throwing it out. Now, obviously, sometimes, well, a good amount of times, cops will do this as a tactic, perhaps, right? Where they will knowingly still arrest you They know that it probably won't hold up in court, but guess what? They make you go through the hurdles of the court and the expenses of it all as just another means to get back, right? It's a get back tactic, to be quite honest here. He's going to sue him. They probably settle out of court on something like this, especially because there's precedent. This was kind of out of pocket. It's not like it was, he obviously didn't get like physically hurt and all that, but still infringing on his rights. They'll probably just settle something out of court, call it a day. But let me know what you guys think about this one.